Okay, so today we're going to look at exponents that are fractions. And exponents that are fractions are really just square roots and cube roots and different kinds of roots. So anytime you see something like this where you have x to the half power, it really is just the same thing as a square root. And cube root is the same thing. A cube root would be a fraction of a third. So the number that goes right out here in front of a root, so a cube root, or if it's a fourth root or fifth root or whatever, it comes down here to the bottom and that becomes a 3. And that is called the index. Then the number that's on the inside here would actually go up here and be the exponent. So in this case, it's a 1. So this is a 1 and that's a 1. So a cube root is an exponent of 1/3. So this exponent right here would be x. Since there's nothing here, we know it's a square, and that goes on the bottom. And then inside I have a 3, and so that goes on the top. So I actually have x to the 3/2. Then this one, we have our x. The number on the outside comes around and goes to the bottom, so that 3 goes there. And then the number on the inside goes on the top, so that's 2. So x to the 2/3. Now pause the video right now and you try this one here and this one here and see if you get the right answer. Okay, so the answer to this one would be x to the 4/3, and this one would be x to the 5/2. Sometimes when we write an exponent, you can actually reduce it. So this exponent would be, oops, that's the answer. Oh well, we'll do this one. So I have x, the 3 goes to the bottom, and then on the top you have a 9. And 9 over 3 reduces, so this one actually is just x to the 3rd. This one would be the 2 on the top and the 4 on the bottom. 2 over 4 reduces to a half. So this is x to the half. This one would be x. The 4 that's inside goes on top. This is a square, so it goes on the bottom. And 4 over 2 reduces to x squared. Now, you try some of these and see if you can go the other direction with it. So remember, the number on the bottom is actually what's going to go on the outside, and the number on the top goes on the inside. So pause the video and see if you can do these 3. Okay, this one is the square root of x cubed. This one is the 5th root of x to the 4th. And this one is the cube root of x squared. Now we're going to look at how to actually evaluate when you have numbers in under there, not just x's. So this right here, since it's a fraction of a half, that means that this really is just the square root of 25. And the square root of 25 is 5. So 25 to the half power is 5. Okay, this one is a power of a third, so it is really just a cube root. So the cube root of 27 is 3. Then the next one, I have this negative sign out here, but I can just kind of ignore it for just a minute and just look at this part right here. So I have a half power, so that would be a square root. I don't need the 2 there, but the square root of 36. And the little negative sign I can just stick right here on the front, and then we'll just deal with it in a second. So the square root of 36 is 6, and then we keep our negative. So we have negative 6 is the answer to negative 36 to the half power. Now that's a little bit different than what we have written here because the parentheses are around the negative, so we can't just ignore it and bring it along. We actually have to write our square root out, and inside of this goes the negative 36. And we can't take the square root of a negative number because remember it means the square root means I have to multiply the exact same thing together in order to get that negative 36. And you can't multiply 2 exactly the same things together and get a negative number. So this one actually has no solution. But remember when we talked about our real numbers and our rational and irrational and all of that, and we said that all the numbers we dealt with were real. Sometimes there are ones that are imaginary, and this one would actually be imaginary because when you have a negative number under the square root sign, it's imaginary. But we won't deal with that. We can just say no solution for now. Okay, so here are 3 for you to try. So go ahead and pause the video and see if you can figure out the answers to these, and then I will give them to you. Okay, so A would be the cube root of 8, which is 2. This would be the negative square root of 64, which is negative 8. And this one would be the 4th root of 81. That one was kind of tricky. It is actually 3. Now, sometimes we have negatives in our exponent. So not only do we have a half, but we have a negative half. So this just adds one more little step that we have to do. So if you have a negative sign, it actually means you're going to put 1 over 16 to the half power. So we're still going to treat this 16 to the half just like we would before, but now we've created a fraction. So we have the square root of 16, which is 4. So the answer is 1/4. So we have to deal with that negative first. Okay, so we deal with that by making this into a fraction. We kind of think about that negative, pushing it to the bottom. So this one, if I were going to do this one, if I want to deal with this negative sign, that means I'm going to have 1 over 27 to the 2/3. And then I can just kind of keep going like I would before. So this would be the cube root of 27 squared, actually. And that works out to be, well, if I square 27, I get 729. So I need the cube root of 729. And that would be 9. So I have 1 over 9. Okay, now I gave you 2 down here at the bottom to do. So you can try those out. So pause the video and see what you come up with. Okay, so the answer to this one is 1/2. And the answer to this one is 1 over 27. Now, if you have a calculator, which is a great thing to have, you have a little button that looks like this on your calculator, and that's how you can do these exponents or these fractional exponents. So you could actually type into your calculator 81, that little caret button, parentheses, negative 3 divided by 4 and see what it gives you. It actually might give you a decimal, and that's because of that negative sign. So you might have to flip it first. So let's see. Maybe we should write this way. 1 over 81 to the 3/4. Then you can just, whoops, I forgot the 1. Type this into your calculator by doing 81 and that little caret and then 3 divided by 4. And that should give you the 27. So you know what goes on the bottom, but you're still going to have to do the 1 over to deal with that negative sign. And that's it.